All right, you guys, we are back. It's your boy EQ, and up next we have how things just became worse than ever for J. Cole. Yeah, man, shout out to Fantastic Hip Hop for the video. You guys have been on the internet for the last few days. We have all seen the immense backlash that J. Cole has been getting for the record Port Antonio, which, if it wasn't for the fact that he brought the beef back up, something that he bowed out ceremoniously, in which he bigged up Drake and sub Kendrick, I feel like the record would have been viewed entirely different. I feel like those two things were definitely stuff that people weren't really asking for, especially this far removed from the beef. I feel like this record has done way more harm than any potential good that may have come from it. The dude has definitely proven it to us. I feel like thousands of times by now that like the dude can rap. I think that was never into question, but fam, this was definitely something people weren't looking for, and I think all you did was kind of reopen the wound that seemed like it was healing. People's stance on the whole situation definitely softened up, and I feel like him now saying this, especially after bowing out the way he did and giving that speech, it's definitely something that has made fans definitely look at him like he's heavily contradicting himself. But enough dilly-dallying, let's jump right into the video. Again, it's entitled How Things Just Became Worse Than Ever for J. Cole.
Now, as J. Cole's new song Port Antonio has been released into the rap world and it is becoming more and more polarizing by the second, this song has sparked a ton of controversy all over the hip hop world for the mixed message of the track, which many think
Yeah, super mixed messaging. It's like he made a total 180. And man, if he would have just omitted those few bars, I feel like this record would have been received entirely different because he did go off. But the fact that he said those two things have people looking at him very crazy right now. And it's honestly his own doing.
ignores the fact entirely that despite anything else
Throwing
that Cole
stones and
said
hiding your
or did,
hands.
that he did indeed release a full-on diss track aimed at Kendrick Lamar and entered the battle of the big three with 7-minute drill. And now, while I'm not here to pick apart J. Cole,
I wonder if the fact that that record didn't have the impact he would have liked had anything to do with him pulling out so quickly. Because a lot of the bars aimed at Kendrick in that record, like a lot of people were like, I don't even think J. Cole even believes he's himself. Like the fact that like Kendrick has no classics, and yeah, man, erroneous. I think no one bought it, and you realize that you probably weren't like cut out for this type of beef anyway, even though you've been rapping about wanting to be the GOAT for years now, actually.
Cole's choices anymore on this cut. What is important and has added even more context to this divisive moment in hip-hop is some inside information about the state of J. Cole's career behind the music, which has helped add some context to why many have been saying he is all over the place in this moment in time. And now with this news, it's not talking about J. Cole's personal life because he keeps things there very private and unproblematic. But actually what it reveals is that what's been ripping up Cole is actually turmoil within his own label and crew in Dreamville, as it has been reported from inside the industry and sources near and around Cole, that when it comes to J. Cole's decision in this entire feud and about specifically Kendrick Lamar,
it's more than likely that he's getting heavily influenced by them.
That things within his Dreamville camp have not been good at all, and they have seemingly pushed him to do things that his heart was never in. And now initially, what cracked this story and revealed this information was a report from Wayno, who if you don't know who he is a respected journalist in the hip-hop space who has been a
Yeah, man. Took over Joe Budden when he left Everyday Struggle.
part of the culture in various ways for years. And now to add even more validity to this information, just to show where his pedigree actually lies here, he was the host.
And this is dope, because one of the homies definitely commented to check his video out as well. So yeah, two birds with one stone.
Host of Dreamville Fest 2024, meaning he was directly on the front lines when this beef was freshly in the air and people were waiting to see what Cole would do after dropping Might Delete Later and his Kendrick diss 7-minute drill. So all in all, first off, to just validate this source, considering that Wayno was literally employed by Dreamville to be the bridge between the artist and the people at this major festival, there's really no incentive that we can see for him to lie about this. So now with this report, Wayno said when it came to what he heard in his time around Dreamville and what was echoed throughout people who he is close to that are a part of Cole's label and crew, is that the general consensus of what most of Dreamville believed is that compared to both J. Cole and Drake, Kendrick Lamar is overrated and he has not contributed to hip-hop culture in the way that the general
Alright, man, that's crazy. It's almost like the equivalent in this last Olympics when like Ant-Man was saying that, and honestly a ton of people were basically saying it was going to run through them now. I mean, LeBron definitely told them otherwise, at least through his play.
public and hip-hop heads have praised him for doing. And also on top of this, that Dreamville does not respect Kendrick's label Top Dog Entertainment to the level that they do other crews in hip-hop and do not see them as equals as a whole. And now because of this inner frustration
that is such a crazy statement. That is such a crazy statement. Even with Kendrick not on the label anymore, even though he still has a good relationship with Top Dog and all of them down there, and we saw that through his Ken and Friend show. But fam, they still have Schoolboy, the SZA, Doechii. Honestly, right now, like, is killing it, and plenty of other people that have definitely have had success in the industry. They have a stronger label than most.
And anger within the label, and of course all around J. Cole. The point Wayno was making is that with all of this animosity against Kendrick right in
yeah, man, TDE is still a pretty fire label, fam.
His own house, Cole
SZA
was
by
pressured
herself,
to
man.
respond to Kendrick with a diss originally and do what they believed was put him in his place. And now something interesting.
Exactly, he was definitely talked into by them because I feel like J. Cole has inferred that in like every single conversation when he talks about why he actually jumped into the beef.
To note about this that very well may tie things full circle here is that if we remember when J. Cole was actually on stage apologizing to Kendrick.
That's like when you gas up the homie to fight somebody and they get punched in the face and come running back, fam. Like, yo, man, why'd you have to tell that man that?
During his set at Dreamville,
they know he a nice guy.
He did talk about how he saw the people around.
And mind you, I love J. Cole's music, but like, yeah, you can't throw stones and then hide your hands. You can't tell everyone you're the number one, you're the GOAT, and that you're willing to like go against all challengers. And as soon as you get the opportunity, you fold faster than it takes for somebody to actually respond. There wasn't even a tweet put out yet before you folded.
Around him, frustrated for what he was doing in that very moment.
And another thing, like, fam, there's no blood on your hands. There's no blood on your shirt from this. Like, you bought out before any of that was even possible, and even after the fact, fam, it's a rap beef. There was no bloodshed at all. Like, I feel like you trying to create that imagery it's another thing that's definitely hurting you.
Does indeed add to this idea that Cole's own
cool
crew
bar,
were the ones who escalated the situation and pushed him to do something that he never intended to in the first place. But now building on all of this, and really making this report seem both more real and also showing off the fact that beyond the Kendrick beef, things in Dreamville really may be going under, and this is why we have seen such a chaotic year from Cole and them all around, was that on a social media post that showed.
It's crazy because he's their OG. Like, I get like listening to like, you can learn something from anybody, but fam, you're still the OG at the end of the day, man. You have to lead, and right now it feels like they're leading you down the wrong path. I don't feel like he's so far gone that he can't come back from this, but fam, you got to stop listening to these people if they keep putting you in these precarious situations, fam.
Off this clip of Wayno telling us about this inner turmoil.
Yeah, that's crazy.
None other than who is
right
considered the number 2 guy in Dreamville, who everyone has thought very well could be the number 1 in the near future in JID, responded to the post, first clarifying that it was not him who was dissing Kendrick, and then adding to this initial point and his involvement in it by saying, "What? I don't even hang with Dreamville like that." But
yeah, he definitely seems like the type of artist that like marches to the beat of his own drum, as does J. Cole. But yeah, he's trying to distance himself away from all this because the last thing you want to do is align yourself with anything like this. Like, you're going to be made look crazy. So yeah, especially with his career trajectory, it's looking really good. The last thing you want to do is just piss off everybody. You know what I mean? It's not going to bode well for any of your like aspirations, at least of like getting to that like elite level and staying there. Like I said, that surround sound record is dope, but now people are going to want to see you show up and prove it again. It really is a what have you done for me lately business.
But making this even crazier, JID quickly deleted these responses, and fortunately, some users did capture this. And now by seeing this moment, which JID assumed we all thought would go away. While first off, this reveals that
just because you're on a label doesn't mean you're friends. These people don't come from the same backgrounds, from the same cities. They really don't share anything in common other than the fact that they're on the same label either. So we can't just assume that they're all hanging out. More than likely, they're only kicking it when they're in the studio, and every once in a while you will get actual friendship that forms from being in the industry together.
That JID wants no issues with Kendrick and is not a part of this group in the label who seem to be against him, which should not be a surprise if you see just how similar their styles are in terms of how much influence JID has taken from Kendrick, and also how on his album The Forever Story, he references and mentions how important Kendrick Lamar and his album Section 80 were to him and his development both as a person and as an MC.
You could definitely hear like that he was influenced by Kendrick.
But now beyond just JID, in the grand picture of this
in his own right,
when we look at everything about one of the biggest members in Dreamville said about the crew, and what seems like his growing separation from them, when we look further into this information, it all seems to check out on JID's end, despite deleting these responses quickly to try and avoid them from going viral and stirring up more controversy about the state of where J. Cole and
And I know it's Jid, but I just like JID. I'm just so used to it. It wasn't until way later, and yeah, man, I'm just accustomed to it.
True are at. Because all in all, these words from Jid, from what we can see, connect a lot of loose ends together and start to make sense of what has been going on in Dreamville behind the scenes. And now, just by the fact that he deleted this post, this first off only adds more validity to these comments as a whole, because it's showing that he had ultimately decided to hold back unraveling the full extent of his.
At the end of the day, he's still the head of your label, and I'm pretty sure the last thing you want to do is have it like displayed how fractured the label actually is right now.
Frustration with his label, and now even just outside of this beef for a second,
if that's
when we look at the fact that when it comes to major music releases at this point, as Jid has not put out any new solo music since 2022, despite him gaining so much popularity and getting on so many big time features which have made for major hits. And as we know, he has hinted at wanting to drop new music over and over again, and yet nothing has happened besides
with all the shakeups in the industry as of late, and it looking like there's going to be definitely many, many more. The labels are a little gun shy right now, so they're not going to pull the trigger on something unless you already have some motion behind it. It already was bad enough before, so I feel like he would have to create the buzz for himself for the label to get behind anything right now.
Independent drops that he's done on YouTube. These issues between him and the label very well could be.
Yeah, that if something were to pop, the label will get behind it 1000% because of the money they stand to make from it. Because at the end of the day, they still hold the rights, so they'll let you drop whatever. But if it hits, they're gonna be like, "Yo, where's our cut?"
Be the reason why it
and
seems like
put
he's
some more money
shelved
behind
at this point, and even beyond Jid alone. This shift in the culture around Dreamville and Jid's attitude about the label could also explain why the duo who introduced JID to Dreamville in the first place in EarthGang left the label and went independent not too long ago as well. And all in all, if people like Jid and EarthGang, who have shown that they are students of hip-hop and the culture, feel alienated from the crew now, it's really starting to paint a picture that what we saw from Dreamville at their peak is no longer what's really going on at the label, which also considering how their output in terms of collab projects like Revenge of the Dreamers has declined, and we have gotten no word on the fourth installment coming.
It sucks because they had so much potential, which they can turn around, but with EarthGang leaving the label and with Jid feeling the way he's feeling, obviously, you can delete a tweet, but you still said it. You can definitely say the labels is most likely in shambles right now.
Anytime soon. This is only adding another piece of evidence that Dreamville is in shambles right now and that it is all dumping out on Cole. So when we connect what Wayno is saying with Jid's comments that seemingly confirm that parts of Dreamville hate Kendrick, which also seem to show us that there is more chaos within the label, as Jid says that he does not even associate with them anymore. From all of this, while we can't fully see the extent of what is—
But I don't think that's just him. I feel like most label mates aren't really hanging out. I've been signed as a producer for like 4 years, and yeah, you'd be surprised how many people are just cool in the studio, and when the other artist isn't there, they'll talk their share of ish too. So just because somebody's on a label with you doesn't mean you're their friend. A lot of times they're in direct competition because they're battling for the same resources.
Is going on within Dreamville. With EarthGang gone at this point, their biggest signee besides J. Cole saying that he no longer even hangs out with people in the label, and somebody who is literally on the front lines as an employee during the beef and who has had countless industry connections, saying that everyone around J. Cole despises Kendrick Lamar. All of this comes together to reveal—
And Wayno is a thorough dude. I don't see him lying for clout to put the story out. If he's saying it, I would tend to believe him.
That there has been a shift within the very culture of Dreamville compared to where the label used to be. And that when we understand this moment in time from Cole and see why so many of his choices have just been so confusing and polarizing, which at the end of the day all stem back to how he decided to respond to Kendrick Lamar and then take it back.
I just feel like he's moving very confused, and he's listening to the internet, he's listening to the people around him, and I'm thinking that's the case. Like, fam, if you really are the peace guy, if you really are like the tree hugging guy that everyone says you are, you're gonna have to you have to act like it. You can't throw stones and expect people not to retaliate. Like, I'm pretty sure you're about to receive a few bars like via Kendrick, because fam, he's seeing this as flip-flopping as well. He actually stuck up for you, especially after the beef, saying that Drake left you hanging. So yeah, man, this is kind of like, yo, you should have just omitted all that stuff. Like, all you did was just reopen the wound that was, like I said earlier, starting to sort of heal. You have to lead. Right now, it seems like the prisoners are running the asylum if they're telling you how to move. And what you've done throughout your career has proven that what you do works. So stick to that, man. Don't let these other outside people influence your decisions. Not to say that you can't get advice from them, but it seems like you're so conflicted when you say these things. So just like say them and then like apologize 2 days later. Bam, if you don't want any parts of the beef, don't reference the beef at all. Don't come out and like big up Drake, who like has been subbing you for months and has honestly had lines directed at you, and then go and sub Kendrick as well, somebody that actually stuck up for you. You keep contradicting yourself, and it's not the internet creating these narratives. It's you're creating these narratives. It's plain to see. That's why everyone has the same narrative. You can't just blame the internet for making stuff up when you're providing the evidence and you're making the case for it yourself.
This decision to act out of character and what has changed the perception of Cole forever for a lot of people very well could
There's
be
people
because of
that
the
it has
forces
definitely
around him
changed.
misguiding him in various ways, as opposed to him genuinely wanting to create chaos in the rap world. And now, as J. Cole always does seem like somebody who is well-intended and kind-hearted, I don't think this is a bad assumption with everything we know, because at the end of it all, when we look at J. Cole in 2024, it seems like a lot of the time he has been well-meaning with his choices, but for whatever reason,
when you saw him speak at Dreamville Fest, like the dude seems like an authentically nice guy. I just feel like he's listening to everyone else and it's clouding his decision, it's clouding his judgment, and it's not helping him. It seems like it's only hurting him.
he is steering things into directions where they have ended up having other consequences. And now, while it may seem ridiculous that somebody who's the head of their label could have things shift and could be misguided, we have seen in the entirety of the music business, and specifically in hip-hop history, even with rappers and producers who created their own imprints like Dr. Dre, have their crews get shaken up, taken over by bad business people, and then steer the direction of the label into a place where it was never meant to be. And right now, based on all of these pieces which are laying out right now,
I mean, but Dre did it to himself. He gave that person power. You choose to partner up with these people. In hindsight, yeah, we could see how bad it was, but most of the time, people give up the power to these people.
In front of us. This very well could be what's going
Even though
on
people
with J.
still
Cole
do
right
get
now,
taken
which is why
advantage
the
of.
biggest rappers from the label are moving
Naivety.
away, and why overall, who we thought was one of the most well-hearted people in all of the genre, and of course Cole himself, has never been more polarizing. So now with all this said, let me know, what do you think about this turmoil that seems to be brewing in Dreamville, and do you think all of this really means something? And do you think things could be going under as we know it? This situation is definitely crazy, so please share your thoughts on.
It's crazy, but a few lines can definitely change the perception people have on you, especially with some of the actions that have occurred this year. J. Cole is somebody that has always seemed values his integrity. He values being authentic to himself. He's always seemed like the nice guy in rap, even though he does rap about being the number one guy, like taking on all challengers and being the number one guy in rap, which is cool. Hip hop is competitive, and it's been competitive since the start. We've always had braggadocious talk, and I feel like as soon as it was time for him to show up and prove it, because once you say things like that, kind of put a target on your back, people are going to call you out on it. Somebody like Kendrick, he's not shy to that. He will say your name. It's not like he hasn't been doing it since 2013. You know what I mean? 2012, whenever Control came out. I feel like he's wanted at least that friendly fade with everybody to prove his skills. It's like a kung fu master. They go around city to city testing the best kung fu from each city to see who has the best kung fu. And I feel like K-Dot has been moving that way. I don't feel like he personally hates most of these people. Like, yeah, I feel like the Drake situation is different. He seems to have a personal vendetta against the guy. He doesn't like what the guy stands for, and he supremely objects to the negative impact he thinks that Drake has had over the industry. And I don't feel like there's going to be too many things that's going to change that other than like Drake changing and taking accountability for some of the things he's done. And who knows if we'll ever see that. But yeah, man, J. Cole could have avoided all this if he would have just omitted those few lines. He's a very smart guy. He knows what that stuff would have, he knows what those bars were going to bring. Maybe not to this level, but he had to have known this is going to be super polarizing and not taken the way he intends to. If he is listening to the people that signed to him, I'm not saying don't listen to advice, but you got to trust your gut and make the choice that makes sense with you and the one that's going to sit well in your soul, because it seems like he's doing the opposite of that. And for somebody that's been at this level for this long, it's kind of weird that that's the case. Like he should be leading a little more. The label does feel like it's in shambles. Like Jid feels like he's like being shelved is what I'm thinking. Maybe that's why you're not seeing them drop a rec. But the way the music industry has been, that surround sound record was a little while ago, and now if they're going to invest any money into you, they're going to want to see that the song is already, basically they just want you to get the song hot yourself. And then they'll put more money into marketing and take it to the next level. But yeah, man, it seems like these labels are definitely scared to pull the trigger on a lot of people because, like, dude, they've been losing money on a lot of people. It's gonna be interesting to see. I feel like J. Cole is gonna have to really stand on business and just be himself because a lot of this stuff just seems contradictory. If it's not sitting right in your soul, you know you're not being authentic to yourself. But just be you, fam. Definitely let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think the label are the ones that like influence him to even get into the beef at all? Do you guys think they influenced this record? From what we're seeing right now and from what Wayno said, it seems to be the case. Um, Jid definitely is trying to backtrack out of that, but at the end of the day, he's still signed to them. So you don't want to do too much because you don't want to be legitimately shelved. Even though I feel like Jid is like, yeah, other than J. Cole, the hottest dude on the label. So on one hand, while it would be stupid to stifle a talent like that could potentially make you money, we've seen people do petty stuff in the industry before. So yeah, that's gonna be very gonna be interesting to see how that situation unfolds. So maybe Jid is just trying to, I guess, complete his contractual obligations before he leaves. So definitely let me know what you guys think when it comes to that. Definitely let me know how you feel about all the backlash J. Cole has been getting. If it's justified or did he bring it on himself? Definitely let me know in the comments. Hit the like and subscribe button, guys. It does the channel wonders. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are freaking dope as hell, and the comments are always super, super dope. It's all because of you guys that the channel is growing how it's growing. So I want to let you guys know that I am like supremely beyond grateful, guys. And yeah, the comments you guys leave are one of my biggest motivations in making these videos, and I just want to let you guys know. So yeah, hope you guys love the video, and I hope to see you guys soon. J. Cole, man. The perception of you from 4 years ago to now is completely 180 right now.